So it was recently requested that I review this manga, and so I decided to check out the first chapter of Samurai 8. And, upon reading it, I was wondering, whatever happened to Samurai 7? Did people forget about that show? It's an awesome show. People need to watch it. But then I realized, oh, Samurai 8? I see what you did there. It's a manga. I just read the first chapter, and I will admit they kind of set it up basically as this typical fantasy, kind of sci-fi configuration of just these different samurai kind of banding together over some sort of magical items that they have to search for. So there was this big grandiose setup, but there was a little bit of a subversion that I was quite surprised with, that actually what you're seeing in the initial part of the first chapter is actually part of this video game that this kid is viewing, which actually turns out is kind of connected to how things could be in this world, but he's looking at a simulation of it. And he actually is hooked up to this machine that his father's been working on to basically keep him alive, because he's been needed to be hooked up with it since birth, and he's unable to really leave his home. So his father's just constantly looking for a way to do that, might be getting entangled with some evil samurai perhaps, and the kid actually finds this object, which within it kind of contains this ancient cat-like, dog-like, blind samurai guy that it turns out might be testing him to see if he can follow the path. And the villains are all kind of connected to their power set is basically based around their cybernetic enhancements, so they're kind of like cyborg samurais, I guess. So I felt like there was a lot of stuff kind of really put into this first issue, which was cool, but I still felt like it was kind of fast-paced, and there was some pretty good artwork with Kishimoto's style, so I could definitely detect a little bit of the Naruto similarities, but there was still enough difference to set it apart, kind of going along with the different setting and lore. But I felt like there was just a lot of stuff crammed into the panels, almost too much for me personally, which, not necessarily bad detail, but I also found the story and lore a little bit kind of confusing, even though I got the general gist of it with what the basic lore and power set was. But I thought it was cool. It really subverted my expectations with how they essentially set it up early in the chapter. But it looks fun. There were some good panels, some good art. Some action, but actually not as much as I thought they would go lean into for sort of this shonen battle fantasy series. But yeah, I watched I read the first chapter of Samurai 8, which might sort of be a sequel to Samurai 7. So, maybe check out Samurai 8 if you like Samurai and Naruto stuff, and watch Samurai 7 if you haven't, because I'm just using this as an excuse to talk about that. Stay magical, everybody.